I was working the overnight shift at a gas station just outside Kingman, right along Interstate 40. If you've ever driven that stretch of road at night, you already know how empty it gets. Miles of black highway, desert on both sides, and the kind of silence that feels heavier the longer you're alone in it. The station sat near a mile marker 214, far enough from town that most locals avoided it after dark. Truckers, road trippers, and people passing through were my usual customers. Management called it a low-incident location, which was just a polite way of saying that if something went wrong, help wasn't coming fast. I worked the graveyard shift alone. Midnight to 6, no partner, no security, just me, a counter, a coffee machine that never tasted right, and a row of cameras I trusted more than I should have. By policy, the doors were supposed to stay unlocked all night. Corporate didn't like the idea of customers feeling unwelcome. Still, I kept the deadbolt ready under the counter, just in case. That night started like every other. A couple of semis pulled through around 12:30. A tired family stopped for snacks at 1. By 1:15, the parking lot was empty again, swallowed by darkness and the steady hum of the highway. That's when the quiet settled in. I was restocking the cooler when the motion sensor chimed. Not the loud one, the soft chime, the one triggered by someone stepping just inside the doorway. I looked up, already rehearsing my customer service voice, and froze. There was a man standing just inside the entrance. I hadn't heard the door open. He was tall, wearing a faded jacket and a baseball cap pulled low over his face. His clothes looked dusty, like he'd been walking for a long time. He didn't move toward the counter. He didn't even look at me. He just stood there, staring at the aisle with the chips. "Hey," I said. "Let me know if you need anything." No response. I told myself he was tired, maybe disoriented. Long drives do that to people. I went back to stacking energy drinks, keeping him in my peripheral vision. A full minute passed, then another. Still nothing. I glanced up again. He hadn't moved an inch. "Sir?" I tried again. "You all right?" Slowly, painfully slowly. He turned his head toward me. I couldn't see his eyes under the brim of his cap, but I felt them on me. The way he looked wasn't angry or aggressive. It was measuring, like he was checking something off in his head. "Bathroom?" he finally asked. His voice was calm, too calm. "Back corner," I said, pointing. "Doors on the left." He nodded once and walked past me. As he passed the counter, I noticed his hands. They were filthy. Dark stains under the fingernails, knuckles scraped raw. He didn't smell like alcohol or sweat. He smelled like dirt and metal. I watched him disappear into the hallway that led to the restrooms and the storage room beyond them. The bathroom door closed. I exhaled, realizing I'd been holding my breath. People came in weird shapes out here. I knew that. Desert towns attracted drifters, travelers, folks running from things they didn't want catching up. Still, something about him stuck with me. 5 minutes went by. Then 10, the bathroom door stayed closed. I leaned over the counter and checked the hallway camera. The feed showed the bathroom door, closed, and the storage room door beside it. Nothing else. "Probably taking a dump," I muttered, trying to laugh it off. That's when the back hallway camera flickered, just for a second. I leaned closer. The storage room door, the one that was supposed to stay locked, was open a crack. My stomach tightened. I knew I'd locked it earlier. I always did. That room held cigarettes, lottery rolls, and the safe access panel. Corporate would fire me on the spot if something went missing. I grabbed the radio under the counter and keyed it just to hear something. Static answered me. I debated calling the non-emergency line, but I didn't want to sound paranoid. Instead, I walked toward the hallway. Halfway there, I heard movement. Not from the bathroom, from the storage room. A soft, dragging sound, like something heavy being shifted across concrete. "Hey!" I called out, trying to sound firm. "That area's employees only." The sound stopped. The storage room door opened wider. The man stepped out. He wasn't alone. Something was tucked behind his leg at first, hidden by the door frame. When he shifted, I saw it clearly. A length of thick rope, coiled, clean, new. My body reacted before my brain did. Every nerve in me screamed that this was wrong. "I think you need to leave," I said. He smiled. Not wide, not threatening. Just enough to show he'd been waiting for me to notice. "I'll be quick," he said. "Just needed a minute." "For what?" I asked. He looked past me, toward the front windows, toward the empty lot, toward the darkness beyond the pumps. "To make sure no one was coming," he said. I stepped back toward the counter, keeping my eyes on him. "Store policy," I said, voice shaking now. "I can't have customers back there." He took a step forward. I took two back. "You live around here?" he asked. "No," I lied. He nodded again, like that answer satisfied him. "Most people don't," he said. "That's why I picked this one." I reached the counter and slipped my hand beneath it, fingers brushing the cold metal of the deadbolt switch. The man noticed. His smile faded. "Don't," he said. I slammed the switch anyway. The front doors locked with a loud, final clack. The sound echoed through the store. For a split second, he looked surprised, then angry. He moved fast. I backed away, nearly tripping over a display rack, and grabbed the phone behind the register. Before I could dial, the lights in the store flickered. Once, twice, then stabilized. The man stopped. Slowly, he looked up at the ceiling, listening. Somewhere outside, an engine roared to life. Headlights swept across the front windows. A semi-truck pulled into the lot, brakes hissing as it rolled to a stop near the pumps. The man stared at the windows, jaw clenched. I raised the phone, hands shaking. "I'm calling the police," I said. He didn't look at me. He just backed toward the hallway, eyes never leaving the glass. "You're lucky," he said quietly. "I usually don't get interrupted." Then he turned and ran. I heard the storage room door slam. Footsteps pounded, a metallic crash from the back exit. By the time the trucker stepped inside, the store was empty. I locked myself in the office and called 911. The police arrived 20 minutes later. They searched the building, the desert behind it, the nearby culvert under the road. They didn't find him. What they did find made my blood run cold. In the storage room, behind the shelves, they found the rope and duct tape, a folding knife taped to the underside of a crate, and on the concrete floor, faint drag marks leading toward the back door. The officer looked at me and said, "You did the right thing." But all I could think about was how close it had been. If that truck hadn't pulled in, if I'd waited another minute, if I hadn't trusted my instincts. I quit the next day. Sometimes, when I drive past that stretch of highway at night, I still glance toward mile marker 214, and I wonder how many other empty places he checked before he found mine. I worked overnight transport at Barnes Jewish Hospital for almost a year. If you've never worked nights in a hospital, people imagine it's quiet, peaceful, like everything slows down once visiting hours end. That couldn't be further from the truth. The noise never stops, it just changes. Machines breathe for patients. Call buttons chime down empty hallways. Elevators open when no one is standing there. And every sound feels louder when you're the only one awake enough to notice it. My shift ran from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. I moved patients between departments, transported equipment, and handled the jobs no one wanted during the day. After midnight, staffing was skeletal. Whole wings would be dimmed, closed off unless someone coded. That night, I was assigned to cover the 4th floor, an older section of the hospital that had been partially renovated, but never fully reopened. Most of it sat empty. Rooms with no patients, lights off, curtains drawn. I hated that floor. Around 1:40 a.m., I pushed an empty gurney out of the elevator and immediately felt it. That familiar prickle at the base of my neck. The hallway lights were on their lowest nighttime setting, casting long shadows along the walls. The air smelled different there. Stale, metallic. I checked my assignment sheet. 1 pickup, room 4E19, transport to imaging. Easy. As I rolled down the corridor, I noticed something off right away. A door was open. That wouldn't normally mean much, except housekeeping had cleared this wing weeks earlier. Every unused room was supposed to stay locked. Room 4E-12 stood ajar, light off inside. I slowed. "Hello?" I called out, half expecting a nurse. Nothing. I told myself it was maintenance, or a doctor cutting through to save time. Still, I shut the door as I passed it. By the time I reached 4E19, my hands were clammy. The patient was already awake. Older man, IV drip, eyes fixed on the ceiling. "You ready?" I asked. He turned his head toward me. "You hear him too?" he asked. "Hear who?" "The man," he said, walking. I smiled politely. Patients said things at night. Delirium, medication, fear. "Let's get you downstairs," I said. As I unlocked the bed and began to wheel him out, the hallway lights flickered just once. The patient grabbed my wrist. "He doesn't like the lights," he whispered. I laughed, a sharp, nervous sound, and gently pried his fingers loose. We made it to imaging without incident. I handed him off, signed the sheet, and took the gurney back toward the elevator. That's when I noticed the call light. It was blinking in the hallway behind me. Room 4E12, the one that was supposed to be empty. I stood there, staring at it, waiting for logic to catch up. Then the call chime sounded. Soft, insistent. I keyed my radio. 4th floor, anyone call that in? Static. I walked toward the room, heart pounding. The door was open again. Inside, the bed was empty. No patient, no equipment. Just the call button dangling over the mattress. Someone had pressed it. "Hello?" I said again, louder now. Something moved behind the privacy curtain. I froze. The curtain shifted, just an inch, then stilled. "Sir?" I tried. "If you're not assigned to this room, I need you to..." The curtain slid back. No one stood there, but the bathroom door behind it was cracked open, and the light inside was on. I backed out of the room slowly and radioed security this time. Before I could speak, a voice came through. "Transport, copy?" It wasn't security. It was a man's voice I didn't recognize. Low, calm. "I'm on 4, he said. "I'll handle it." The channel went dead. I stared at the radio. No one had identified themselves. No unit number, no badge call. That wasn't protocol. I turned toward the elevator and stopped. Footsteps echoed down the hallway. Slow, deliberate, not hurried like a nurse, not tired like a doctor, just walking. They came from the far end of the floor, from the darkened wing. I ducked into an alcove near the supply closet and watched. A man stepped into the dim light. He wore scrubs, but they didn't match any department I knew. No badge, no logo, just solid blue. He walked with his hands folded behind his back, head slightly bowed like he was thinking. He stopped outside room 4E-12, tilted his head, then turned and looked straight at me. I don't know how he saw me in the dark, but he smiled. Not friendly, not cruel, just satisfied. "There you are," he said softly. My legs moved before my brain caught up. I ran. The gurney clattered behind me as I shoved it aside and sprinted for the elevator. I mashed the call button again and again. Behind me, footsteps followed. Not fast, unrushed. The elevator dinged open and I dove inside, slamming the button for the lobby. As the doors closed, I saw him step into view. Still smiling, still calm, the doors slid shut. The elevator descended, too slowly, every second stretching. When it opened, I burst into the brightly lit lobby, gasping, heart trying to beat its way out of my chest. Security sat at the desk, coffee in hand. "You okay?" one of them asked. "There's someone on 4, I said. "A man in scrubs, no badge. He called on the radio." They exchanged looks. "We don't have anyone assigned up there," the guard said. "4th floor's closed." They reviewed the cameras. No footage of the hallway, no footage of the elevator, no record of anyone logging into the radio channel. They swept the floor anyway. Found nothing. Room 4E-12 was locked. Dark, empty. The call button worked fine. I finished my shift in the break room, staring at the clock until sunrise. I transferred departments the next week. But sometimes, when I pass that wing during the day, I swear I hear footsteps pacing just beyond the locked doors. Slow, patient, like someone waiting for night to fall again. I worked overnight maintenance at River Rouge Complex for just under 6 months. If you know anything about that place, you know it's massive. Entire buildings connected by tunnels, catwalks, conveyor lines that stretch farther than you can see. During the day, it's loud and alive. Forklifts, alarms, radios, people everywhere. At night, it turns into something else. My shift ran from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. maintenance support. Mostly boring work, checking panels, resetting sensors, responding to machine faults that weren't urgent enough to stop production. Overnight crews were thin. Sometimes you'd go hours without seeing another person. That night, I was the only one assigned to Building 3, an older section near the river that hadn't been fully modernized. Management kept it running because shutting it down would cost too much. They called it legacy infrastructure. We called it cursed. Around 1:20 a.m., my radio crackled. "Maintenance to Line C," the dispatcher said. "Sensor fault, repeating." Line C was on the far end of the building, the part everyone avoided. Poor lighting, narrow aisles, machines that sounded wrong even when they were working properly. I acknowledged and grabbed my flashlight. As soon as I stepped inside Building 3, the air changed. It was colder than the rest of the complex, even in summer. The smell hit first: oil, rust, and stagnant water from the river seeping through concrete that was older than most of us. The overhead lights buzzed as I walked, flickering in uneven intervals. I followed the painted floor line toward line C, my footsteps echoing too loudly in the empty space. That's when I heard it. A clanging sound, metal on metal, slow, deliberate. I stopped walking. The noise stopped too. I told myself it was thermal contraction, old pipes shifting, machines settling. That building made noise even when no one was inside. I kept moving. Line C came into view, a long conveyor system flanked by robotic arms, most of them idle overnight. The sensor panel blinked red, just like dispatch said. But something else was wrong. The conveyor belt was moving. It wasn't scheduled to run overnight. I checked my tablet. No work order, no test cycle, no authorization. Line C shouldn't be active, I muttered. The belt moved slowly, carrying nothing. Just empty rollers sliding past one another, humming in a low, steady rhythm. I opened the sensor housing and immediately saw the issue. Wiring had been bypassed, not damaged, not shorted, redirected. Someone had done it intentionally. "Dispatch," I said into the radio. "Who's authorized on line C right now?" Static. Then, "Repeat?" "I'm seeing a manual bypass," I said. "Who's working this zone?" There was a pause. "No one," dispatch replied. "You're the only badge logged in Building 3. My stomach tightened. "Then why is the line active?" Another pause. "That shouldn't be possible." I shut the panel and stepped back. That's when the lights dimmed. Not out, just low enough to change the shadows. The conveyor belt didn't stop. The clanging sound returned. Closer this time, from behind me. I turned slowly, flashlights sweeping the darkness. The aisle behind me was empty. But the sound kept coming. Clang, pause, clang. Like someone striking metal lightly, testing the noise. "Hello?" I called, hating how small my voice sounded. No answer. I backed toward the control panel, fingers hovering over the emergency stop. Before I could press it, the belt sped up. Not fast, but noticeably. Something dark rolled into view on the conveyor. At first, I thought it was scrap material. Then I realized it was clothing, a jacket, followed by a boot. My chest went tight. I rushed forward, heart pounding, and slammed the emergency stop. The belt screeched and jerked to a halt. The object stopped halfway between rollers. I stepped closer. It wasn't scrap. It was a uniform, an overnight maintenance uniform, same color as mine. Empty, no body inside it. Just clothes, neatly folded, placed on the moving belt. I staggered back, almost tripping. "That's not funny," I said to the darkness. "Whoever's here, this isn't funny." The radio crackled, but this time, dispatch didn't speak. Breathing came through the speaker. Slow, close. I dropped the radio like it burned. Behind me, something moved. Footsteps, heavy, unhurried. I turned and saw a man standing at the far end of the line. He wore a hard hat, safety vest, gloves, all standard. But his face was wrong. Not injured, not distorted, just blank. Like he was wearing a mask that didn't quite fit human expressions. "You're not supposed to shut it down," he said calmly. My legs felt weak. "Who are you?" I asked. He tilted his head slightly, as if considering the question. "I make sure it keeps moving," he said. "That's what I do." I glanced toward the exit. Too far. The lights dimmed again. "I didn't know," I said. "I was just responding to a call." He nodded. "They never do," he said. Then he took a step closer. That's when I noticed the floor. Drag marks, faint but unmistakable, leading toward the conveyor, toward the rollers, toward places no human body should ever go. Realization hit me like ice water. This wasn't a one-time thing. This line didn't shut down at night. It just stopped needing witnesses. I bolted. I ran down the aisle, boots slipping on oil-stained concrete. Behind me, the conveyor roared back to life on its own. I heard him walking, not chasing, just following. Confident, certain. I reached the emergency exit and slammed into the bar. Nothing. Locked. No, I whispered. The man's footsteps stopped behind me. "You were almost scheduled," he said. I spun around, panic screaming in my head. Then alarms exploded through the building. Lights flared bright as day. The conveyor ground to a halt. The man was gone. Security burst in minutes later, found me shaking by the door, babbling about the line, the uniform, the man. They checked everything. No unauthorized access, no active conveyor logs, no missing uniforms. Just one thing, a badge. Mine. Found near the rollers on line C, scratched, bent, like it had been dragged. I quit that morning. They told me stress got to me, sleep deprivation, old buildings playing tricks. Maybe they're right. But sometimes, when I drive past the river at night, I look at that complex and wonder, if I hadn't run, would the line have kept moving? And would anyone have noticed when it didn't give me back? I worked late nights in an office tower in downtown Chicago, just off Wacker Drive. I wasn't security or janitorial staff. I was an IT systems analyst, and for reasons I still regret, I volunteered for late-night maintenance windows. Software patches, server reboots, network testing. The kind of work that was easier when the building was empty and no one could complain about systems going down. Most nights, I was alone on the 17th floor. The building itself was modern, glass walls, steel framing, badge access on every door. But once the lights dimmed and the elevator slowed, it felt abandoned in a way that was hard to explain. The city noise outside became distant, muffled by thick glass. Inside, every sound echoed just a little too long. My shift that night started at 8 p.m. By 10:30, every other floor was dark. I remember checking the building directory near the elevators. Only 3 departments were authorized to stay past 9. IT, security, and executive admin. Everyone else had to badge out. I badged in and rode the elevator up alone, watching my reflection in the mirrored walls stretch and shrink as we passed each floor. The doors opened to silence. The 17th floor was one large open workspace. Rows of empty desks, glass-walled conference rooms, and a central server closet tucked behind frosted panels. Emergency lights glowed faintly along the floor, giving everything a gray underwater look. I set my backpack down at my desk and logged into the main terminal. Around 11:15, I heard a sound that made me pause. Footsteps. Not loud, not rushed, just walking. I froze, listening. They came from somewhere deeper in the office, toward the conference rooms near the windows. I leaned back in my chair and called out, "Hey, security?" No answer. I checked my phone. No alerts, no messages. The building had overnight security, but they rarely left the lobby unless something tripped an alarm. Sometimes cleaning crews came through late, but they were always loud, carts rattling, vacuums humming. These footsteps were careful. I stood and walked toward the glass hallway. As I passed the first conference room, I noticed something strange. The lights were on inside. I knew they'd been off earlier. I checked. I always did. Empty rooms made me uneasy. I stepped closer. The room was empty. Chairs neatly pushed in, tables spotless. But the lights were on. I reached for the switch and flipped it off. The hum of the lights died. Behind me, footsteps stopped. I turned. Nothing. The hallway was empty. I told myself I was overreacting. Long hours, too much coffee, empty buildings messing with your head. I went back to my desk and tried to focus. At 12:02 a.m., my terminal froze. That alone wasn't unusual. We were stress testing the system. But then my mouse cursor began moving on its own. Slowly, deliberately, dragging across the screen. I pulled my hand away, heart pounding. The cursor stopped. A window opened, command prompt. Someone was typing. Not fast, not frantic, like they knew exactly what they were doing. I slammed my laptop shut and stood up. "Okay," I said aloud. "That's not funny." My voice sounded small in the open space. That's when the lights dimmed again. Not fully off, just lower than before. I heard the elevator chime. Once, then again. Someone was riding it up. Relief washed over me. "Thank God," I muttered. Security. I walked toward the elevator lobby and waited. The doors opened. No one stepped out. The elevator car was empty. The doors stayed open longer than usual, then slowly slid shut. My stomach dropped. That's when I noticed the badge reader by the stairwell flashing green. Someone had just used it. I backed away, pulse hammering in my ears. "Hello?" I called again. "Security. If this is you, you're not funny." A voice answered from behind me. "I know," it said. "I'm sorry." I spun around. A man stood near the far end of the office, between rows of desks. He wore dark clothes, not a uniform, not casual. No badge. He wasn't threatening. He wasn't smiling. He just looked tired. "You're not supposed to be here," I said. He nodded. "I know," he repeated. My brain raced. This wasn't right. No alarms, no forced doors. "How did you get in?" I asked. He glanced toward the stairwell. "Same way you did," he said. I took a step back. "Security's on their way," I lied. He watched me carefully, then said, "No, they're not." He gestured toward the windows. The city lights shimmered far below us. "No one looks up this late," he said. "They assume empty floors are empty." I felt trapped. Glass walls, long aisles, nowhere to hide. "What do you want?" I asked. "To finish something," he said. Behind him, one of the conference room lights flicked on by itself. I realized then what he'd been doing. Testing rooms, testing reactions, seeing how alone I really was. I edged sideways, keeping a desk between us, inching toward the panic button near the stairwell. He noticed. His expression changed, not angry, just urgent. "Don't," he said softly. That was enough. I sprinted. I slammed the panic button with my palm and bolted down the stairwell. Alarms screamed to life behind me. Lights snapped on across the floor. I didn't stop running until I hit the lobby, nearly colliding with two security guards rushing in. They searched the 17th floor. Found nothing. No forced entry. No unusual badge activity. No one on camera. They told me the system glitch could have caused the terminal issue. They told me the lights were probably on a timer. They told me I was safe. But as I was leaving, one of the guards pulled me aside. "Hey," he said quietly. "Just so you know, cleaning crews don't come in on Tuesdays. I haven't volunteered for late night shifts since. And sometimes, when I pass that building after dark, I look up at the 17th floor because once in a while, the conference room lights are still on." I was working the overnight front desk at a roadside motel just outside Flagstaff when it happened. If you've never stayed at one of those places, the kind that sits just off the interstate with pine trees on one side and nothing but darkness on the other. They all feel the same at night. 2 floors, exterior hallways, thin walls, a lobby that smells faintly like old coffee and cleaning solution. I'd been on the graveyard shift for about 3 months. Midnight to 7. 1 person on duty. No security. No cameras outside the stairwells. Just me, a key machine, and a phone that barely got service when the weather turned bad. That night was slow. Too slow. By 12:40 a.m., the lot was empty except for a single pickup truck parked near the far corner of the building. It didn't belong to any registered guest. But that wasn't unusual. People parked wherever they wanted. I was halfway through a crossword when the bell rang. Not the electronic one. He was tall, mid-40s maybe, wearing a dark jacket zipped up to his chin. His hair was damp, like he'd been outside for a while. He smiled politely, but his eyes didn't move much. "Evening," he said. "You got vacancies?" I nodded. "Yeah, plenty." "Just one night," he said, "passing through." That fit the pattern. Everyone was passing through. I asked for his ID. He slid it across the counter. The name read, Evan Mercer. Out-of-state license. Valid. No red flags. As I typed his info into the system, he leaned forward slightly. "Quiet place?" he asked. "Usually," I said. "Not much traffic overnight." "Good," he replied. I signed him room 217, 2nd floor, end of the exterior hallway, one of our quieter rooms. He watched the screen as I worked. "You always put people up there?" he asked. "End rooms are quieter," I said. He nodded, like that confirmed something for him. When I handed him the key card, our fingers brushed. His hand was cold. "Breakfast starts at 6, I said out of habit. He smiled again. "I won't be here that long." I watched him walk out, keys in hand, footsteps fading across the concrete. Something about the interaction stuck with me, but I couldn't place it. At 1:15 a.m., the phone rang. I picked it up on the second ring. "Front desk," I said. There was breathing on the other end. Slow, deliberate. "Hello?" I asked. The line went dead. I stared at the receiver for a second, then hung up. Probably a wrong number, or a guest dialing the desk by accident. Still, I logged the call. Habit. Around 2 a.m., I heard footsteps outside the lobby, not near the door, above me. Someone was walking along the 2nd floor exterior walkway. I glanced at the guest list. Only 3 rooms occupied on that side of the building. Room 214, room 217, room 220. I watched the security monitor. One camera pointed at the stairwell. A shadow passed through the frame. Someone was moving between rooms. A few minutes later, the phone rang again. "Front desk," I answered. "Someone keeps knocking," a woman whispered. "What room?" I asked, straightening. 214, she said. I didn't open it, but I saw someone standing there through the peephole. "Did you recognize them?" I asked. "No," she said. "They were just standing too close." I told her I'd take care of it and hung up. I grabbed the master key and stepped outside. The night air was cold and smelled like wet asphalt. The overhead lights buzzed softly, casting yellow pools along the walkway. I climbed the stairs slowly. Room 214's door was shut. No one standing there. I knocked gently. "Front desk," I said. The woman cracked the door open, chain still latched. "He's gone," she said. "But I swear he was just here." "Did he say anything?" I asked. She shook her head. "Just knocked, then knocked again." I assured her I'd keep an eye out and walked back toward the stairwell. That's when I noticed room 217. The door was open, just a few inches. The lights inside were off. That wasn't right. Guests rarely left doors open, and certainly not new check-ins. "Mr. Mercer?" I called softly. No answer. I pushed the door open. The room was dark, curtains drawn, bed untouched, bathroom light off, empty. I checked the closet. Empty. The luggage rack. Empty. I frowned. Maybe he hadn't gone to the room yet. Maybe he'd stepped out to his truck. Still, unease crept in. I locked the door and returned to the lobby. At 2:47 a.m., the system chimed. Room 217. Key accessed. I stared at the screen. The door had just been unlocked, but I hadn't seen anyone on the camera. I pulled up the log. The key used wasn't the guest card. It was the master. My blood ran cold. I hadn't used the master on 217. I stood up slowly. That's when I heard it. A knock. Not on the lobby door. Behind me, on the office door. 3 soft taps. I turned. The office door was closed. "Hello?" I said, voice barely steady. The handle jiggled. "I think there's been a mistake," a man's voice said calmly from the other side. It was Evan Mercer's voice. "You put me in the wrong room." I backed away, heart pounding. "The office is staff only," I said. "I can help you from the counter." Silence. Then, "I already tried that." Something scraped against the door. Metal against metal. A key. I realized then what I'd missed. Room 217 hadn't been vacant before tonight. It had been flagged in the system, out of order, because the deadbolt didn't latch from the inside. I'd overridden the warning during check-in, because we were fully operational. The realization hit me all at once. He hadn't been knocking on 214 by mistake. He'd been checking doors, testing locks, finding rooms where someone would open. "Sir," I said, backing toward the emergency exit. "I'm calling the police." "That'll take time," he replied. "And you're very alone." The office door handle turned. Slowly. I ran. I burst through the emergency exit and into the cold, sprinting across the lot toward the main road, screaming for help. Behind me, I heard the office door open. Footsteps followed, not fast, measured. I didn't stop until headlights flooded the lot, a truck pulling in from the highway. I waved frantically. The footsteps stopped. By the time police arrived, Evan Mercer was gone. So was the pickup truck. Room 217's deadbolt was scratched deep, bent like someone had tested it over and over. The master key was found later, left neatly on the lobby counter. I quit the next day. And now, whenever I stay at a motel, there's one thing I always do first. I check the door. Because sometimes the room isn't vacant. It's just waiting. I used to park in an underground garage beneath my office building in Portland. If you've ever used one of those garages late at night, you know the feeling. Concrete walls that swallow sound, flickering fluorescent lights, the smell of oil, damp cement, and exhaust that never fully clears. I worked late most nights, not because I had to, but because it was easier. Fewer people, less noise. By the time I shut my computer down, it was usually close to midnight. The garage had 4 underground levels. B1 and B2 filled up during the day. B3 and B4 stayed mostly empty. I parked on B3 because it was closer to the stairwell and elevators. Fewer cars meant fewer chances of door dings. That's what I told myself. That night, I rode the elevator down alone, listening to the cables hum as we descended past each level. The doors opened to B3 with their usual metallic sigh. The floor was quiet, too quiet. Only a handful of cars sat scattered across the concrete, dark shapes under buzzing lights. My footsteps echoed as I walked toward my sedan, keys already in hand. Halfway there, I heard another set of footsteps. Not behind me, off to my right. I stopped walking. The footsteps stopped too. I stood still, listening. Nothing. I told myself it was my imagination. Sound carried strangely down there. Air vents echoed, pipes knocked. I kept going. When I reached my car, I unlocked it quickly and climbed inside, locking the doors the moment I sat down. It was a habit I'd picked up without realizing it. As I put the key in the ignition, I saw movement in the rearview mirror. Someone stepped out from between two parked SUVs. A man. He didn't approach, didn't wave, didn't signal for help. He just stood there, watching. The light above him flickered, casting his face in and out of shadow. I couldn't make out his features clearly, just his posture. Relaxed, hands at his sides. I started the car. The engine sounded too loud in the enclosed space. The man took one step forward, then stopped. I backed out of the space and headed toward the exit ramp. As I drove past him, I glanced sideways. He turned his head to follow me. Slowly. I reached the ramp and drove up, relief washing over me as the garage lights gave way to the open night air. I told myself that was it. Just a stranger, just bad timing. At the first red light, I checked my mirrors. No one behind me. I drove home, locked my doors, and didn't think about it again until the next night. Same routine, same elevator, same floor, B3. As soon as I stepped out of the elevator, I felt it again. That subtle pressure, like someone else was already there. This time, I listened. Footsteps echoed faintly from deeper in the garage. I walked faster. I saw him before he stepped into the light. Same man, same spot like he'd been waiting. This time, he raised his hand. Not a wave. More like a small acknowledgement. I didn't slow down. I got into my car, locked the doors, and drove off without looking back. On the street, I checked my mirrors more often than usual. A few blocks later, I noticed a car behind me. Dark sedan, headlights low. It stayed with me through 2 turns, then 3. I told myself it was coincidence. At the 4th turn, it followed. My heart started to race. I changed lanes suddenly. So did it. I didn't go home. I drove toward a well-lit gas station and pulled in, parking near the entrance. The sedan rolled past, then kept going. I sat there for a long time before heading home. The next night, I parked on B2 instead. I told myself that solved the problem. For a week, nothing happened. Then one evening, I stayed even later than usual. Almost 1 a.m. When the elevator doors opened on B2, I knew immediately something was wrong. My car was there. But so was another one, parked directly across from it. A dark sedan. I stood frozen. The engine was off. No lights. Windows tinted. I waited. Nothing happened. I walked toward my car, every step echoing too loudly. As I reached for the handle, I saw movement in the reflection of my window. Someone inside the sedan shifted. The door opened. I didn't wait. I turned and ran back to the elevator, hammering the call button with shaking hands. The doors opened just as footsteps began to follow me. Not running, walking. I rode the elevator back up and didn't stop until I reached the lobby, breathless. Security brushed it off. No reports, they said. Probably someone waiting for a ride. I stopped parking underground after that. I used street parking, even when it meant walking several blocks. Months passed. I almost forgot about him. Almost. One night, as I unlocked my front door, I noticed something on my windshield. A parking ticket. Issued downtown. For level B3. Dated that same day. I don't park there anymore. I don't even drive downtown late if I can help it. Because sometimes, when I check my mirrors at night, I see headlights that turn when I turn. And I can't shake the feeling that whatever I met down there didn't stay underground. I was working the late night shift at a truck stop outside Amarillo, right off Interstate 40, when I learned something that should have been obvious. Some people don't come to places like that to buy anything. They come because nobody asks questions. The truck stop was one of those all-in-one places. Gas on one side, diesel lanes on the other, a convenience store, showers in the back, and a little diner that stayed open until 2 a.m. The neon sign out front buzzed like a mosquito, and the parking lot never truly emptied. Even at 3 in the morning, there were always a few semis idling, their engines thumping low like a heartbeat. I'd only been on the job a couple months. I was saving for community college, and night cashier paid better than anything else I could find. Management said it was safe because we had cameras and a panic button behind the counter. But cameras only show you what already happened. And the panic button, well, the panic button assumes you have time to press it. That night started normal. A convoy of trucks rolled through around 11:30, filling the diesel lanes with a line of chrome and headlights. A couple of sleepy tourists came in for drinks and jerky. The usual. The air inside smelled like burned coffee and sanitizer, and the coolers hummed behind me. At midnight, the diner staff clocked out and the overhead lights in that section dimmed. It made the store feel bigger than it was. Rows of empty tables in the corner like a little abandoned restaurant inside a brighter, busier world. Around 12:20, I noticed him for the first time. He wasn't inside. He was outside, standing under the overhang near the front entrance, just beyond the brightest patch of light from the security lamp. He had his hands in his jacket pockets and his head slightly down like he was waiting for someone. That wasn't unusual. People waited for rides all the time. Truckers stepped out for phone calls. Smokers stood under the overhang when the wind got bad. But something about the way he stood made me keep looking. He wasn't fidgeting. He wasn't pacing. He wasn't vaping or scrolling. He was still, like a statue someone forgot to move. I watched him through the glass while pretending to organize receipts. He didn't even glance at the pumps, didn't look at the road, didn't look at the door. He was looking inside, not at the snacks, not at the registers, at the counter, at me. A cold little pinch touched the back of my neck. I did that thing where you tell yourself you're overreacting. I looked away first, like that would make it go away. When I looked back a minute later, he was gone. I exhaled like I'd been holding my breath. See? I muttered to myself. Nothing. That should have been the end. But it wasn't. By 1:05, the store got quiet. The diesel lane still had activity, but inside it was mostly empty. The kind of quiet where you can hear the ice machine cycle and the faint click of the lottery display. I started wiping down the coffee station, just trying to stay busy. The mirror behind the counter reflected the aisles, which I liked. Made me feel like I had eyes in the back of my head. That's when I saw him again in the reflection. He was inside, standing in the aisle with the travel pillows and phone chargers. I hadn't heard the door chime. I turned around quickly. He didn't flinch. Close up, he looked older than I first thought. maybe late 40s. His jacket was plain, dark, zipped high. He wore a hat pulled low and jeans that looked too clean for someone who'd been walking around outside a truck stop all night. He wasn't holding a basket. He wasn't browsing. He was just standing there, shoulders loose, like he belonged. "Hey," I called, forcing my voice into customer service mode. "Can I help you find something?" He took a second to answer, like he had to decide if he wanted to speak. "Bathroom," he said. His voice was calm and low. "Back wall," I pointed. "Past the coolers, left door." He nodded and started walking. But he didn't go toward the bathroom. He drifted toward the diner section, where the lights were dim and the tables sat empty. That area still had cameras, but the angles were bad. Too many pillars, too many blind spots. I watched him step between the tables like he was checking something. Then he turned his head slightly and looked straight at me again. The look wasn't angry. It was interested, like I was a thing he was studying. I swallowed and reached down beneath the counter where we kept the little handheld radio for calling the floor attendant. "Derek," I said into it, trying not to sound nervous. "You around?" Static. Derek was our overnight floor guy, stocking trash runs, cleaning spills, basically anything that wasn't staying behind the register. He was supposed to check in every hour, but he had this habit of disappearing into the back to smoke. And sometimes he'd stay gone longer than he should. The man wandered back toward the hallway near the bathrooms, then stopped at the door labeled "Employees Only." That door led to the back office, storage, and the corridor that connected to the shower rooms. I saw his hand lift slightly, like he was considering the handle. I spoke up louder. "Sir, bathrooms are the other door." He paused and then turned his head a little. "Oh," he said, like he'd forgotten. He walked into the men's room. The door shut. I stood there behind the counter, staring at the hallway, trying to make my heartbeat calm down. It's weird what your brain does when it's scared. It tries to be practical. It tries to make a list. Maybe he's lost. Maybe he's tired. Maybe he's waiting for someone. Maybe I'm being dramatic. Then the bathroom door opened. He came out. He hadn't been in there more than 20 seconds. No one uses a truck stop bathroom for 20 seconds. Not unless they're washing their hands or checking their face. He walked back into the main store. Still not picking anything up. Still not shopping. He stopped near the front entrance and stared out through the glass. I had this brief, stupid thought. Maybe he's waiting for a ride and he's just weird about it. Then his hand rose again. Not to wave, to touch the glass. Just his fingertips pressed against it, like he was feeling the barrier. He kept them there for a few seconds, then let them drop. I stepped back instinctively. The moment I moved, he turned and looked at me. A smile tugged at his mouth. Not friendly, not big. Just the smallest little sign that he'd noticed. My throat went dry. I grabbed my phone and typed out a message to my manager, even though I knew she wouldn't answer at 1:20 in the morning. "Guy in store acting weird. Keeps watching me." I hovered over send. Then I didn't. Because I didn't want to be that employee who freaked out over nothing. I hate that about myself. He finally walked out without buying anything. The door didn't chime because it was broken half the time. I watched through the glass as he crossed the lot. He didn't go to a car. He didn't go to a truck. He walked past the pumps, past the diesel lanes, and into the darker edge of the lot where the light didn't reach. And then he disappeared behind the line of parked semis. My stomach turned. If he had a vehicle, why wouldn't he just go to it? unless he wanted to stay out there where I couldn't see him. That was the first time the thought formed clearly. What if he's not leaving? At 1:45, Derek finally came back in through the back hallway, smelling like smoke. "Where have you been?" I asked, trying to keep it casual. He shrugged. "Trash run." Then I took a break. I leaned in. There was a guy in here acting weird, hanging around, watching me. Derek snorted. "It's a truck stop. That's like half the people." "This guy wasn't buying anything," I said. He kept staring. Derek rolled his eyes. "You want me to walk the lot?" "Yes," I said too fast. He looked at me for a second. Then his expression softened like he realized I wasn't joking. "All right," he said. "I'll do a loop." He grabbed his flashlight and headed for the side door that led into the diesel lane area. Before he went out, he looked back at me. "Lock the inner door," he said. We had an inner door separating the store from the back hallway. It wasn't supposed to be locked while we were open, but employees did it anyway when things felt off. As soon as Derek disappeared, I locked it. The click felt louder than it should have. I went back to the counter, trying to focus on normal tasks. Wiping, straightening, checking the lottery machine. But I kept glancing up at the cameras. The lot cameras were grainy at night. The bright lights blew out detail, and the dark areas were basically black. Still, I watched the diesel lane feed, waiting to see Derek moving through the frame. Nothing. A minute passed, then 2. Then my radio crackled. "Hey!" Derek's voice came through, quieter than before. "You seeing this?" My heart jumped. "Seeing what?" He didn't answer right away. I heard wind. Then he said, "There's somebody between the trucks on row 3. "Is it him?" I asked. "I can't tell," Derek said. "They're standing where it's dark." "Just come back inside," I said. Derek sighed. "I'm going to shine the light. If it's nothing, it's nothing." "No," I said, voice sharper. "Just come back." A pause. Then Derek said, "Okay." I waited for his footsteps on the side door. They didn't come. Instead, there was a soft sound through the radio, like fabric brushing the mic. Then Derek whispered, "He moved." My skin prickled. "Derek, come inside," I said again, fighting the urge to shout. "He's walking away," Derek said, "toward the showers." The showers were a separate wing connected by a covered walkway. It had its own entrance from the lot. Truckers paid for a code and could go in any time. "Don't follow him," I said. Derek made a small sound like he was annoyed. "I'm not following. I'm just watching." I forced myself to breathe. "Just come back." Another pause. Then Derek's voice came through, strained. He's not walking to the showers." "What?" "He's walking toward the back door," Derek said. "The one by the storage area." My stomach dropped. The back door was supposed to stay locked, but it was old. The latch was temperamental. People propped it sometimes without telling anyone. I grabbed my keys and started toward the back hallway. Then I stopped, because the inner door was locked. Beyond it, the back hallway was dark. I stood there with my hand on the knob, listening. Nothing. Then the radio crackled again. Derek said, "He's gone." "Gone where?" "I don't know," Derek said. "One second he was there, then he stepped behind a trailer and just vanished." My throat tightened. "Come inside right now." "Okay," Derek said. And this time I heard his footsteps. Faintly through the side camera audio, the side door opened and closed. A minute later, Derek walked in through the store entrance, shaking his head. "That was weird," he muttered. "Did you see his face?" I asked. "No," Derek said. "Just a shape. But it felt like he wanted me to notice him." He rubbed his arms like he was cold. "You want me to stay up front with you a bit?" "Yes," I said immediately. Derek leaned on the counter, scanning the lot through the glass. "He's probably some tweaker," he said, trying to make it normal again. "Or someone waiting for a ride." "Or someone waiting," I repeated. Derek gave me a look. "You got that panic button, right?" I nodded. He tapped the counter. "Then don't stress. Worst case, we hit it and cops show." That sentence should have comforted me. It didn't, because I kept thinking about how calm the man was. People high on something act frantic, unpredictable, loud. This guy was steady, like he had all night. At 2:30, a semi pulled into the diesel lane, lights brightening the lot. A man in a reflective vest came in, bought coffee, chatted with Derek about the weather. Normal stuff. For a few minutes, I relaxed. Then the trucker left, and the quiet poured back in. Derek wandered off to restock cigarettes. I was alone again. That's when the phone rang. Not the store phone. The wall phone in the back hallway. It had a separate line for the shower wing. No one used it unless there was a problem with the code. It rang once, twice. I stared at the locked inner door, pulse rising. I hadn't heard anyone go back there. The phone rang again. I swallowed and unlocked the inner door, stepping into the hallway. The fluorescent light back there was dimmer, and the air smelled like detergent and damp towels. The phone kept ringing. I walked toward it, every step echoing on the tile. When I reached the phone, I picked it up. "Hello?" Silence, then a soft breath. Not over the line, in the hallway, behind me. I turned so fast I nearly dropped the receiver. The hallway was empty. The storage door was shut. The office door was shut. The bathroom doors were shut. Nothing. I slammed the phone down and backed up toward the inner door, heart hammering. That's when I saw it. A faint wet mark on the tile near the storage room. Like a footprint. Not a full shoe print, more like someone stepped in something damp and walked lightly, leaving just enough to show a path. The marks led toward the storage door and stopped. I stared at them, my mind trying to reject what it meant. Someone was back here, close enough to breathe behind me, and I hadn't heard them. I pushed through the inner door and locked it again, shaking. Derek came back up front and saw my face. "What?" he asked. I told him about the phone. He frowned and walked to the inner door, testing the handle. "You sure it rang?" "Yes." He exhaled through his nose. "Probably a glitch. That phone's garbage." "No," I said. I heard breathing. Derek's face shifted slightly, less annoyed, more serious. "Okay," he said. "We'll stay together." For the next hour, we did. We stood behind the counter, watched cameras, made small talk we didn't care about. The store felt like a glass aquarium. Bright inside, dark outside, and whatever moved out there could see in. At 3:58, the power flickered. Not off, just a quick dim and return, like the building sighed. The neon sign buzzed louder for a second, then settled. Derek's radio chirped with static. He glanced at it. That happens sometimes when the compressors kick. I nodded, pretending I believed him. Then the front door handle moved, just slightly, like someone tested it. We both froze. The door was locked after 3 a.m. Store policy. After that, customers had to use the service window. The handle jiggled again, then stopped. I held my breath, staring at the glass. A face appeared in the dark outside, inches from the door. Not pressed to the glass, just close enough that the light caught part of it. It was him, the man from earlier, hat low, eyes hidden, He didn't knock. He didn't wave. He just stared through the glass at the counter, at us. Derek whispered, "Don't open." "I'm not," I whispered back. The man raised a hand and held it up, palm against the glass. Then he slowly slid it downward, leaving a faint smear, like he was marking the barrier. Derek stepped forward and spoke loudly. "We're closed. Use the window." The man didn't move. Derek tried again, harsher. "Use the window or leave." Still nothing. Then the man smiled, and I realized something I hadn't let myself realize yet. He wasn't trying to get in, not from the front. He was just reminding us he could come back whenever he wanted. Then he turned and walked away into the dark. Derek cursed under his breath. "Okay, that's it. I'm calling security." We didn't have real security. Just a number for a roaming patrol that checked a few nearby properties. Derek dialed. It rang. No answer. He tried again. Still no answer. He looked at me. "I'm calling the cops." Before he could, the service window bell chimed. The little motion sensor above the window. Ding. Someone was at the window. I didn't move. Derek didn't move either. The bell chimed again. Then a voice, soft, careful, came through the glass. "Hey," the man said. "I just need to ask you something." My stomach twisted. Derek leaned forward slightly. "Ask from there." The man's silhouette shifted. "I lost my phone. I think it fell somewhere out here. Can you come look with me, just for a second?" Derek laughed, but it wasn't friendly. "No." The man paused. Then he said, "I can't do it alone." Derek's jaw clenched. "Not our problem." The man's head tilted. "It is, though." The words were quiet, almost polite, but they carried weight. I reached under the counter and found the panic button cover with my fingers just to feel it. The man spoke again. "There's someone else here." Derek stared. "What?" The man leaned closer to the glass, between the trucks. "Watching you." A chill slid down my spine. Derek's eyes flicked to the cameras. And that's when I realized the worst part. Derek was looking at the camera feeds like he expected to see something, like the man's words made sense to him. The man at the window smiled a little wider. "See?" Derek's voice dropped. "How do you know that?" The man's smile didn't move. "Because I'm not the one you should be scared of." My mouth went dry. I looked at the lot camera. Between the rows of parked semis, where the light didn't reach, a shape stood still, just like the man had earlier. Too still. A person-shaped shadow between trucks, not moving, not walking, just standing. I felt something inside me shift, a realization trying to surface. This wasn't one guy. This was a setup. The man at the window wasn't desperate for help. He was distracting us, keeping us focused on the glass while something waited out in the dark. Derek swallowed hard. "We're calling the cops." The man nodded slowly, like that was fine. "You can," he said, "but you should leave first." Derek frowned. "Leave where?" The man's voice stayed soft. "Anywhere that isn't here." I should have hit the panic button right then. But I didn't, because the man's words had done something to my brain. He'd placed a new fear in it, and my mind grabbed it like it was truth. I stared at the dark shape between the trucks. It didn't move. The man at the window whispered, "He doesn't like bright places." My hands shook. "Who is he?" The man didn't answer. Instead, he looked past me, toward the hallway, toward the inner door. Then he tapped the glass twice, gently, like a signal, and the inner door handle behind the counter moved just a small turn, then stopped. Derek and I both snapped our heads toward it. The inner door was locked, but the handle moved again, harder this time, like someone was testing it from the other side. My heart tried to climb into my throat. Derek stepped back. No. The handle rattled again. Then, from the back hallway, came the faintest sound, so soft I almost didn't believe it. A knock, 3 taps. Not on the inner door, on the storage room door inside the hallway, like someone was already back there. Derek's face drained of color. The man at the window said quietly, "You see?" I realized it then. Too late. The man at the window had never been trying to get inside. He'd been counting on someone already being in there, or letting someone in, or having someone waiting. I don't know how they did it. I don't know how long they'd been in the building. But the inner door handle moved again, hard enough that the lock clicked, not open, but strained, like someone had the right key. Derek swore and grabbed my arm. "We're leaving, now." "Out the front," I hissed. Derek shook his head, eyes wide. "No, too exposed." He yanked me toward the office, where there was a second exit that led to the employee parking area behind the building. As we moved, I heard the man at the window speak one last time, calm as ever. "Wrong way," he said. Derek didn't respond. We slammed the office door behind us and locked it. My hands fumbled the deadbolt. Derek shoved open the back exit and froze. The employee lot was dark, and someone was standing there. Not close, far enough away to be a silhouette under a broken light. Still, waiting. Derek's grip tightened on my arm. We backed into the office and slammed the door. The handle on the office door moved immediately, from the outside, like someone had followed us faster than they should have been able to. Derek hissed, "How?" I didn't answer because my brain was too busy screaming. We weren't running away from them. We were being directed, herded. Derek grabbed his phone with shaking hands and finally dialed 911. As it rang, I heard something scrape in the hallway outside the office. Not footsteps, something heavier, like an object being dragged. Then, through the thin office door, a voice, quiet and patient, said, "You don't have to make this difficult." Not angry, not rushed, just certain. The 911 operator picked up. Derek blurted out our location, words tumbling, breathless. I pressed my hand over my mouth to keep from making noise. The operator said units were on the way. The voice outside the office door sighed, like it had expected that. Then it said, almost gently, "They won't get here in time." I didn't know if that was a bluff. But then the power flickered again, and the emergency lights kicked on. The store went darker. The office phone, an old landline, rang once, loud in the dim. Derek stared at it like it was a bomb. It rang again. I shook my head, silently begging him not to answer. He didn't. The ringing stopped. Then the office door handle stopped moving. Silence. The worst kind. Because silence at a truck stop at 4 a.m. is unnatural. There's always an engine, a door, a beep. This silence was intentional, Derek whispered. Maybe they left. But I knew better, because the moment he said it, the voice returned, right outside the door. "Open it," it said. Then softer, "Look at your cameras." My blood went cold. The office had a monitor feed too, smaller than the front one. It showed the back hallway, the storage area, and the employee exit. Derek's eyes flicked to it. On the screen, the back hallway was empty, but the storage room door was open. And in the darkness beyond it, something pale caught the camera's low light, like a face leaning just into view. Not fully visible, just enough to make your brain fill in the rest. I choked back a sound. The face didn't move. It just stayed there, watching. Derek trembled. Oh my God. The voice outside whispered, "That's who I warned you about." I realized then what the trick was. The man at the window wasn't the main threat. He was the storyteller. He was controlling the narrative to steer us where he wanted, to make us panic, to make us choose the wrong door. He didn't need to break in. He needed us to break ourselves. Sirens wailed in the distance, faint but real. Derek let out a shaky breath. The face on the camera withdrew, slowly, melting back into the storage room darkness. The voice outside the office door went silent. Then footsteps, finally hurried, moved away down the hallway. Not running, but leaving. Like they decided the time window was closing. The sirens got louder. Red and blue light flashed through the office blinds. A police cruiser pulled into the lot. Then another. Derek unlocked the office door with shaking hands and yelled, "We're in here." Officers rushed in, weapons drawn, sweeping the halls, checking bathrooms, storage, shower wing, the lot between trucks. They didn't find anyone. No man at the window, no figure in the employee lot, no face in the storage room. They reviewed the cameras. The lot feed was grainy and useless. The window cameras showed the glass, but the angle missed the man's face. The back hallway feed showed the storage door open, but the shadowy face, it never appeared on playback, like it had never been there at all. The officer told us we did the right thing calling. They suggested we close for the night. Management showed up furious and terrified, pretending it was just a security concern and not something worse. I went home at sunrise. I tried to sleep. I couldn't, because of one detail that wouldn't stop replaying in my head. The man at the window had looked past me toward the hallway before the inner door handle moved. He'd known exactly when to tap the glass, exactly when the distraction needed to happen, like he was coordinating with someone inside, or like he was the one who'd been inside all along. And the worst part? A week later, my manager called and told me something they didn't want to mention at first. 2 nights before my shift, a trucker reported his shower locker had been opened. Nothing stolen, just moved around, like someone had searched through it. And on the security footage, they saw a man in a dark jacket walking calmly through the shower hallway. No badge, no purchase, no rush, just passing time, looking for the right night, looking for the right person. After that, I stopped working late nights. I stopped stopping at truck stops unless I had to. And even now, when I'm driving and I pull off the highway for gas, I park where the light is brightest, because once you've been watched in a place designed for strangers, you start noticing how easy it is for someone to watch you anywhere. And sometimes, when I'm alone at a red light at night, I catch myself staring at the reflection in my side mirror. Not because I see someone, but because I know how it starts. A man who never buys anything. A quiet smile. A hand against glass. And the feeling, too late, that you were never alone in the first place.